What's up, my deal makers? We just finished Ask Alex number 93, and we had an incredible special guest this week going over rental properties, creative deals. Michael Zuber has done just about everything. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways from today, man?
Oh, this was an amazing webinar. This guy's full of knowledge. I think the big takeaways were that we went over advice about the current market. He also has these 7 rules for growing your wealth, and he went through those. And then also, we talked in detail about house hacking and the incredible opportunity new investors have with that. So check it out. Let's go.
What's up, my deal makers? Oh, do we have an exciting interview for you today? We are interviewing Michael Zuber. My co-host Will Wall and I are going to go deep with this guy. We met him in person for the first time at one of our good friends' event down in Orange County in Southern California. And then this guy he's so polarizing. I love his attitude. And we're going to talk a lot about what not to do, a lot of mistakes. You guys are going to love it. So we're going to wait for Will, our co-host, to jump on board, give you guys a normal update on kind of some of the things we're working on. And then we're going to introduce Michael. And for some of you that don't know him, he's a seasoned investor out of the Fresno market, does a lot of buy and hold real estate, but also flips some houses here and there.
Just savage. I don't know how to say it better than that. The guy just gets after it, puts in that work day in and day out. He gave a fantastic speech at that event. What's up, Will?
What's up, Alex? How are you doing, my man?
I am excellent. Aloha from the beautiful city of Guadalajara.
Yes, sir. You're down in Guadalajara. I'm here in LA. It was good to see you yesterday for a quick bit here in LA while you're in town. But I know you obviously, you made your flight, got on out of here, got out of town and back down to Mexico before, some big stuff going on this week, right?
Yeah, it's cool to see you. And then I got to check my house out in Hollywood. And, we also went to that, the Mondrian, I think. So we're always looking for venues to host, VIP events. We've gotten, thankfully, pretty good at hosting events, at having get-togethers, at team building, community building. So something that we love to do. And I think the Mondrian, the Skybar Mondrian, might be a place that we do some stuff there, huh?
Definitely cool venue, beautiful, skyline view right outside of it. So, again, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a cool place to hang out. Obviously, we got to, go do some dinner afterwards and hang out and chat a little bit. And, you've had somebody hanging out with you most of the week that we met, back out in Hawaii. So it was kind of good to see, everything full circle. And I'm sure you're excited as well about getting a chance to see your property completed up here and getting ready to move in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For some of you that don't know, or some of you might know, I'm transitioning to living more in Southern California than in Hawaii or Mexico. So as I do that, I wanted to do it at a property that I owned and felt at home and that I could really customize, personalize to myself, and was able to do that. The rehab took 3 months longer because of that. We also had some hiccups there where we weren't sure what the design and some of the materials, some of the stuff that we wanted to get because it was a little bit higher end. But I'm really thankful for it being done now. And I'm excited to live there. And there's a really cool, I didn't even tell you, like a farmer's market, or kind of like a Sprouts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, like natural food type of supermarket.
Like an Erewhon market or something, right?
Yeah, like Erewhon. There you go. That's another one. And so they're opening up a similar one. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but literally like right down the block from me, I could walk there, which is cool because I'm an old dog, so I need to focus on my health. And that's a good way to do that.
Well, good stuff. If you guys get a chance, go ahead and use that chat feature down below and let us know where you guys are tuning in from. That way we can connect with you guys. We're going to have our special guest joining us, Mr. Michael Zuber, here in a little bit. But just before then, just a couple quick more updates on your end, Alex. I know you said you're back in Guadalajara. You were here in LA. But obviously you got to have an incredible week last week, from family to friends to networking. Tell us a little bit about what happened last week with you and give us a quick update, all right?
Yeah, so first
we actually had a perfect question just on time coming in the chat, saying, hey, what was Maui like? So let us know, Alex. Obviously people here, want to know what was it like down there, man?
Yeah, so first of all, I spent about 30 days in LA for the first time in over 2 years. And then I flew to Hawaii and I spent a couple of weeks there. I missed you guys because I didn't get to see you last week. Out of these 93 webinar meetups, virtual events that we've kind of done over the last close to 2 years now, I think I've only missed like 2, but there were just times that I just could not attend. And so one of the big reasons I didn't do that is I got back to Maui. We had a mastermind with Brandon Turner, and well, it was Brandon Turner and Tara Yarbers. So I mean, just I guess the high level is focusing on bigger deals, but knowing how those deals are structured is something I took from this mastermind, because there were several people working on multifamily / storage units and bigger deals, that stuff that we're starting to work on now with our 18 unit. And we just another great piece of a great update that we have is that we took our house off of the market in Maui, the big one, that we had gone back and forth for the good part of about 8-9 months. And then we finally were able to get the refinance to the finish line and unlock a lot of the trapped equity that my partner and I had in that deal. And I mean, I'm grateful. It's just magical to keep this property in the portfolio for our private lenders to use it, for our team to use, for our family to use. And so, yeah, that's big news that we got to keep that house. I literally walked over to Brandon Turner's house from our house, which is, 2 blocks over, and went to that mastermind opening dinner. And it was like the wire hit that day, and we finished it off, and also got to attend and this other mastermind that same day. And then the whole week was crazy, because we got to do the events. If you guys are not familiar with his mastermind, it's kind of formatted in a way where you do outdoor activities and other fun adventures, things like that. And then you're doing the classroom or the mastermind work at the hotel, at the resort, inside of a conference room style, and kind of small group style. And it isn't about somebody teaching you anything. It's more about the connections and people poking holes in your business plan and your strategy and what's going well for you and what's not. There was a lot of pre-homework we had to do so that way we came prepared, to be vulnerable, to talk about numbers, to talk about really what's the next step for a lot of people. There was nobody there that was just getting started. Most of them are very seasoned investors and entrepreneurs. So I don't want to go too long into it, but we got a lot of takeaways from it. And, I can't be more grateful than, just everybody held it down while I was gone, and I wasn't able to answer a lot of calls. And so I'm grateful that the team was able to hold it down. So that was cool. And then my family was on Maui. So not only did I get a chance to meet with these other entrepreneurs and a lot of the people that are at that event, but then simultaneously I was spending time with my family. They had been in from LA and from Mexico, and they got to stay at the property, and they were super happy. So I mean, what can I say about that other than that's why we do things, so we can spend quality time with our loved ones. A couple weeks before that, you were there with a bunch of your friends and some of your loved ones. So we're going to be using this property for many years to come for that. So that was cool. And then also I met a person that kind of does a lot of videography, and a new investor, Kolaya, over in Oahu. And he tagged along, and I invited him over to Maui to help document some of my day-to-day and help me get more of that backstage, kind of a behind the scenes type of footage, because people just see the webinars, they see some social media posts, but they don't see all the in-betweens of all the work that you have to do to operate and manage properties, do what we do at a high level. So he's getting a lot of that. We also had our flip on the Big Island close as well last week. So we paid off a great private money lender there, and we made a profitable deal there in Hawaii. So that's cool. And now I'm back in Guadalajara just for a week to film some footage, work on some teeth. I have some dental work I need to work on. And then I'll be back in LA for the meetup downtown LA next week.
Let's go. I'm excited for the DTLA meetup. That's going to be a lot of fun. I know we have a lot of people here in the group excited for that one as well. Today we have a super talented investor, doing multiple different kinds of investment deals, properties, investment strategies. This guy's done it all. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Michael Zuber today, and we're going to be talking, for those of you guys that haven't been on here before, there's a little Q&A button if you look down below us on the screen down there. If you guys have any questions for Michael while we're kind of going through and talking with him, please go and throw those in there in the chat, and we'll be happy to kind of go over those. There he is. Good to see you, Mike.
I see you as well. I was getting a little nervous, like technology wasn't letting me in. I'm like, what am I clicking on wrong?
Thanks, dude. Thanks. I know we've had some problems in the past, so glad you made it on.
Absolutely.
Michael
Thank you for
Zuber
being
in
here.
the building.
Yes, yes. How you guys doing?
Amazing, dude. Amazing. Glad to have you on. So, Will, and you were introducing him. I know he's a man of, many, does a lot of different investing, but we'll talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, Mike, obviously you do a lot of different investing, strategies. So we're going to dive into a couple of those real quick here in a bit. But before we do that, I'd love for you to just kind of give a quick bio on yourself, for the audience, for those of you that don't know Mike and kind of where he came from. He'll give you a quick kind of recap here, and then we can kind of dive in and chat a little bit about the investing side of things, which is obviously what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, hopefully my background really plays with the background of everybody watching this, because I've really had two different stories. The first chapter, maybe the first 3/4 of my investing career, I was a full-time employee. I live in the Bay Area, so that means I worked in tech. I traveled the world. I was often in 2 or 3 countries a week, right? So I would travel Sunday, come home Friday. And for 15 years, we built a portfolio of rentals, one rental at a time. We started with our first house, Norris Drive, in 2002. We rode the wave up. We did a bunch of 1031 exchanges into apartments. Then all hell broke loose and it crashed. So not only did we invest before, but we survived and thrived the last crash. So I have lots of opinions on that. Then we were borrowing, we borrowed millions of dollars of private money during the trough, really doubled the portfolio again. And then ultimately, my wife, Olivia, retired, I think 2014, 15. I followed in 2018. So that's kind of the first journey that set up our life to do whatever we wanted, when we wanted, with whom we wanted. And then, like many of you, like Alex, like you, well, I'm type A. I don't sit still well. So for the first time, I decided to start flipping. And as usual, I do it kind of differently. So I was buying junker slumlordy properties, and what I do is I turn them into turnkey rentals and sell them off. So in the span of about 2.5 years, we flipped 56 properties, anywhere from a house to a 6-unit building, right? We flipped whatever made sense. And again, we used private money. We didn't use any of our own capital, right? We went out and borrowed it. We had, we actually let our investors take profit. Like we gave them 20% of the upside. And, I did that, 50 some odd properties, made a bunch of money. All along the way, I've created a YouTube channel called One Rental at a Time. It's 1,000 days in a row. I've done a daily financial show at 7:30 a.m. I now have a panel of 8 or 9 millionaires that come back almost every week. So we're putting out relevant content every week, every day, 5 to 6 videos. So I'm only playing for one thing. Olivia and I are set. We don't have any crazy life things that we want. Every day I decide, is this going to create a legacy for us, right? Because I'm trying to play for 50 years after I'm dead, right? I want somebody to say my name in a positive way 50 years after I'm dead. So, that's what I'm playing for. That's why I'm here today.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Woo! Dropping it like it's hot.
I know. I love that. And obviously, I think I'd be, remiss if I didn't say that there were a lot of people here in the room that want to do what they want with who they want, whenever they want, right? I think that's, obviously the foundations, right, of financial freedom. And, like you mentioned, right, one rental at a time, there's tons of different ways. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you check it out. I think, you're obviously looking to build wealth, and one rental at a time is a strategy that you can do that. I know you talked about jumping into the flipping strategy. So we're going to dive into a couple of these other strategies here, that you found to be successful. But before we do, again, guys, I just want to remind you, we do have that Q&A feature right down at the bottom. If anything, that Mike is saying, that Alex is saying doesn't make sense, if you guys aren't following along, throw a question in there. Make sure you guys understand this, because, we're going to be talking about some different investing strategies. And the first one we'll dive into is the rentals, right? Like, obviously a rental at a time, and you're talking about legacies. So how are you able to build a legacy, one rental at a time?
Yeah, so it really boils down with what I've only appreciated was my superpower after I was done. I didn't appreciate it during the journey because I didn't really have an option. So my superpower, as I now appreciate, is the ability to focus and execute daily. So I've created 7 rules for one rental at a time. Rule number 1 is focus. What does that mean? So I call it a buy box, right? A lot of investors that I work with have interest. They want it. They want it bad, like real bad. And then you kind of evaluate what they're doing every day. And they're like 15 minutes over here and 10 minutes over there and 17 seconds over there. And they're not getting anywhere. You have to focus. And now if you're going to do rental properties, the only way to do it, because I don't know about people watching this, but I live in the Bay Area, which is a stupid expensive market. I looked here a year and wasted a year. I ultimately had to drive 2.5 hours away to Fresno, California to find a market that cash flowed because I was never going to bet on appreciation. There's a lot of people out there that bet on appreciation and then they get smoked in the downturn. I saw people worth $10 million in 06 be bankrupt in 09. You bet on appreciation, the market goes soft, bye-bye. So I never wanted to do that. So I was cash flow day one, 30-year debt day one. And for me, it all boils down to a tight buy box. My first buy box was 93703. It's called the Mayfair District. Single family homes. So not duplexes, not quads, not condos, not apartments, not mobile homes, not raw land, none of that stuff. 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, between 1,250 square feet and 1,700. That's all I looked at, guys, for 3 years. That's
and I
less
love the focus there, right? Because it's like, Alex, we talk about this too. We hear a zip code sometimes and our ears just perk up because we have that knowledge that that is a zip code that we've crushed it in. So, you know, like you're saying, Mike, it's like, if I know that zip code like the back of my hand, a deal is going to hit me in the forehead. I'm not even going to have to question it. I'm ready to pounce. I love the focus, right? That's first and foremost, focus in. I love it.
And again, most new investors, if you tell me you're focused, most of you, you're not focused enough.
Not the focus you're talking about, right?
Right.
Not that dialed in focus.
Again, Fresno, California, when I invested there was about 1 million people. I was looking at 0.23% of the market. One zip code, one housing type, one, 3 or 4 bedroom, 2 bath. There's like, I don't know, 1,700 homes that fit my criteria. And again, I looked at that every single day for 3 years. I did not expand my buy box for 3 years. It takes time. You look at what I get from a lot of new investors. Okay, Michael, I looked at my buy box for 7 days in a row. I'm bored. Sorry, do it again. I mean, don't come to me and tell me after 8 days you figured it out, because you haven't figured it out. It takes time and repetition. And especially in the market we are in today, guys, the market is changing faster than I've ever seen it. If you are not looking every day, you got a problem. And this is what I get from a lot of new investors. Michael, I have a busy life. Oh, really? I didn't have a busy life, but okay, I'll listen. I'm going to give you 4 hours on Saturday. You only want 20 hours or 20 minutes a day for 7 days. That's only 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm going to give you 4 hours, but on Saturday. I'm like, don't bother. Can you get 6-pack abs only going to the gym on Saturday and eat like garbage 7 days a week? It doesn't work, folks. Doesn't work.
Love it. Well, one of the things that
key, right?
one of the things that actually I have a question about, and it comes up often too, is like these people that are doing a 9-to-5 job like you were before you quit, but you still found a way. What would you attribute that to, or what advice do you give those people? Because I'm sure a ton of them ask you.
It's why rule number 1 and rule number 2 exist. Focus, get your buy box. Your buy box, here's your buy box should only produce 20 to 40 active listings. If your buy box has 113, it's too broad. If it has 7, it's too narrow. Spend a day and afternoon figuring out what your widget is, set the search, and look at it every day. And then do a couple of things. Track behavior. And then most importantly, folks, Alex, you kind of talked about this, or it was Will actually. Tell everybody you know what you're buying, right? Not only the zip code, but I'm buying single family homes with 3 or 4 bedrooms in this zip code between here and here. And it's amazing how much the just inertia or karma or the universe or whatever you want to call it, you'll bump into things. It's amazing.
That and you know, again, I think if you have that kind of dialed in mentality, that dialed in approach, you can really apply it to any investment strategy. I think the ultimate form of buying is buying right. And if you buy right, you're going to be able to do any of these investing strategies that you've done throughout your career, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because the whole key of my strategy and focus and daily discipline is to do one thing, is to learn average. That's all I want to do, right? Repetition. So now I can go and say, hey, this thing produces a 6% yield, a 7% yield, or cash on, whatever your thing is. And here's the deal. I never do average deals, but I'll learn them. So if my market today produces 6.5, I'm not touching it unless it's a 9, because I can't do every deal. Shoot, I want to do 2-3 deals a year. I don't want to do, I don't have the scratch. I have the interest to do that. So people have to learn average. And then once you know average, we're only writing great offers. Today, because it is quickly changing from the worst seller's market I've ever seen to a balanced and in some areas buyer market, not only are you writing better deals, I'm not paying list price. I'm asking for closing cost credit, and I want sellers to give me a rate buy down. I'm asking for the moon. 2 years ago, I did all my flips being first and fast with cash. I don't even look at first day listings. I threw that away like 6 months ago. Hey, if an FHA buyer or VA buyer wants to buy it first day listing at list, go nuts. I have no interest. I'm going to wait for 30 days.
Nervous now, right? Now you can swoop in for the kill.
Exactly. And then again, if the seller goes, hey, I'm just going to take it off the market, great. On to the next. I wrote 35 offers in the last 2 months, and I'll probably write 35 or 50 offers in the next 2 months because, dude, I only need to do a couple of deals a year, and I just want them to be great. So just
love it.
focus.
I love it.
You're just talking about that, right? Doing the bigger deals, the more important deals, the ones that can do more for your business. So I love that.
So what's rule number 2? Let's go down to 7. Since I think we got a lot of value from the 7, from the focus one.
Here we go. This is actually a poster right inside my office when I walk in. So rule number 1, focus, establish, buy box. Rule number 2, daily discipline, 20 minutes a day. I was a full-time employee, 60 hours a week, 100,000 miles a year, 100 nights in hotels. I get it. All I need is 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week. Number 3, this is for all of you, and this is why you're on this call. Grow your network. Meet 2+ people, new people a week. That's money. The reason I got 6 deals last year or the last 18 months is my network. Nothing on the MLS. I haven't got a deal on the MLS in 2.5 years. Right? My network knows what I'm buying. They bring me things. I'm a known producer. Grow your network. Number 4, learn average first. Then you only buy good or great deals. And what I'm telling people today, good left a building. We're only doing great deals. Number 5, this one's important. Bad things will happen. Sorry, learn and move on. Number 6, this is a 5 to 10 year commitment. Get rich for sure, not quick. And here's number 7. This is the one that a lot of people get wrong. Audit your personal network. Are they helping or hurting you? I think it was Ed Milet that talked about, right? Are people charging your battery or draining it? You know, if you're getting in this business and struggling and it's hard, and all of your friends are whining about recessions and, all of these things, it's going to be easy to go down this crash mindset and do nothing. I promise you this, Warren Buffett is a gazillionaire because he knows that when the tide goes out and people get scared, he strikes. I did this in 2010. I have personal experience. I know what happens when, dude, I retired on the MLS. We bought 20 or 25 or 30 single family homes for less than 40 grand in Fresno, California that rented for 12, 13, 1400. They were houses. These were not dirt lots.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. And the reason it happened is because everybody saw the market go down and there's going to go down more. It's going to go down more. You can't build those houses for that. What the hell are people doing?
The build is at least 90, 95. And that was back 20 years ago when they built it. Now
yeah.
it's double
Dude,
that,
this is crazy. So my insurance agent was like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're buying these houses for 40 grand and I have to insure them for 180 to 200. That was the cost to rebuild them. And that's without the land, right? That's rebuild cost. So again, the last thing I'll leave you with is this. Every negative headline I see, every crash video I see, I'm so excited. I internalize, this is a mental trick. Every one of those I see, guys, I go, there goes 2% of my competition. So I love every crash video. Folks, keep watching crash videos because I know you will run away scared and I'll just buy more better deals.
You see why we wanted to have Michael on, man? This guy he definitely has an opinion about stuff, but it's based on experience, right? It's not, oh, okay, this is just a wild opinion, but he's out there daily putting in work. He's been out there for, better part of almost 2 decades, I would say now, and getting after it, right?
22 years, man. 22 years.
Oh, there you go. More than 2 decades. So it's a wealth of knowledge. I guess do we have any questions that are coming from the audience that we can?
Great question coming from Raul that I wanted to ask, and it's, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, Michael, about, how you're able to use private money, borrowing money from other people to accumulate these rental properties, right? So Raul asked, how are you able to accumulate them without putting the traditional 20% down yourself?
Yeah, so I'll talk about both experience just to completely give back. So the first experience borrowing $3 or $4 million in private money was 2010, 11, 12. What I had been doing before that is documenting my story, much like you guys are, right? You guys are doing an amazing job of that. And I had a website. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called wealthbuildingpro.com. I was also a contributor and a blog writer on Bigger Pockets at the time. And I was just documenting, right? Every house I bought, I named something funny, the bubblegum house, this house, that house. And I did that for about 6 months, probably had 7 or 8 projects going. And soon enough, people saw what we were doing in the numbers, and they're like, hey, I got all this money over in my bank account here. It's not earning anything. I'm scared of the stock market. Do you need any money? I'm like, what do you mean, do I need any money? I didn't even know about private money. People are coming here throwing money at us. And so I said, yeah, I'll take it. Basically, they gave me the purchase price. I didn't put any money into the purchase price. And oh, by the way, I paid 10% interest only. All these houses I was buying, they were 100% financing. And then I would do the repairs out of my cash flow from my portfolio. That was beautiful. And then basically that pretty much stopped in 2013-ish, I think was our last private loan. Then we started paying them back because I could get mortgages again, right? We paid them back, all of that kind of on the run up. Then I retired. Then I'm bored. Then my private money folks come back to me. They're like, hey, we got money still. You want to do something? What are you going to do? I'm like, well, let me think about it. So I see all these slumlord properties in my market, which just annoy me, right? Slumlords are the worst. Never be a slumlord. And I found one, and he was willing to sell me a portfolio of 12 or 13 or something like that. And I'm like, well, I could write that check, but I don't want to. What if we went to my private portfolio and borrowed some money? So I broke them down. I found 13 different providers. I think it was 8 lenders. A couple of them took 2. And this time, instead of giving 10%, I gave them 6 because I wanted a lower payment, but I gave them 20% of the upside. And I had an attorney draw it up, the whole ball of wax, right? It was a year note with a year option because it was short-term money I was going to flip on purpose. And again, they came in for the entire purchase price, and I did repairs out of my cash flow. And every person did a deal, got paid back. I think one was 10 months because of some city permitting things, but most were paid back in 5 months or less. Most had an annualized return of over 80%. So yeah, it was fun. I haven't done one of these since 17.
They're helping you grow your business, and you guys.
Yeah, it was
together.
keeping me busy. It was keeping me from driving my wife crazy. That's what was happening.
So what I'm hearing, Michael, though, that's important because I think that a lot of people assume that private money means that you should just go borrow money, but it's not that. You went out there, you proved yourself, right? You went out there, you
document
on your own, but then you were document that, sharing that, building a little bit of a community there, or at least showing people that were interested what you were up to, and then people start coming to you to lend you money.
Yeah, that is paramount. I mean, I talk about private money a lot, and the whole key to this is if you can have people come to you and ask you, you have all the power, right? If you're out there running around like a chicken with your head cut off with no experience, but you think you have a deal, money's going to run away. It'll be repulsed, right? You have to have confidence. You don't actually have to have deals, but you have to have a track record. That's why even focus in daily discipline, rule number 1 and 2. If you learn Mayfair District like I did, but you don't have any money, but you could show somebody that over the last 100 days, you have documented every single property that came up in that little area. And then you have one that comes up and it's the best deal or second best deal you've ever seen.
It's the radar is now going crazy.
Yeah. And then you could go, hey, let me show you why this is you might get a deal there, right? It's all about track record sharing. and really bring people along on your journey. Everybody starts with 0 followers. Everybody starts with 0. I have never lived in Fresno. I have never spent the night in Fresno, but I've learned it because we just did the work, man. Just like my hat says, do the work.
Love that. I think, again, if you do the work, it's the first portion of it. Second portion of it, right? Obviously getting the funding and taking down the deal. You said you've never been to these places. So how are you able to manage or decide, hey, am I going to flip this or am I going to hold this as a rental? And how are you able to kind of manage that portion of the project?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear. So I've been to Fresno 1,000 times.
Been there, yeah, exactly. But
I never lived there.
Yep.
I never spent the night. Right. We would, it's 2.5 hours away. We drive up early.
Day trip away.
Right. So basically, we went up for the first 10 years there. Most months we were there 3 weekends out of 4. And we would do our thing. And then we would drive around our buy box because we had to learn the city. Right. My criteria for 3 years was great, but it really took us about 2 years to hit all the, all the area. Right. We would do a Zillow map and, all those things.
Back to your hand, right? That's
a
subset of homes that you wanted to really, really know everything about, right?
Exactly. And then I start flipping properties. So again, probably for the first 10 to 15, I'm there. I would go 3 times a week. It was fun for me. I was learning something new. And then, what we did is we made flipping really easy because I was flipping to landlords. I was not flipping to homeowners. I did a few homeowner flips at the very end, but the first 40 were landlords. So what did I do? Well, guess what? Same paint color I use in all my rentals, same flooring in all my rentals, same windows, same this, same that. So I tried to template it as much as possible. And then I just used the same 2 teams, right? Occasionally I try a 3rd team because we got backed up. It worked a couple of times. It didn't work others. I would always tell them I'm coming one time and then surprise them the very next day and just show up again. So you have to quality control, right? These people are spending your money. After a while, after I did 10 or 12 or 15 of these, my A team, Greg, he knows who he is. We would do Zoom calls and I would not even visit his properties until the very end, or if I was up there for something else. So you build trust, experience, but bad things can happen, right? Rule number 5. And if they happen, you learn and move on. So
can you give an example of that, Michael? I mean, I know you have tons of it because
sure.
People, what I love about your approach to things is really don't do this shit, don't do that, and don't do this. A lot of it, instead of like, hey, go and do this, go and do that. A lot of what you preach, I think, is like things that you should avoid.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the market today, right? Because I could talk about my history, but we're not really dealing with the markets that I had. So let's just talk about today. Let's talk about the event that we were at together, right? I came to that event. And I had, if you were to ask me to do 2 things, what were my goal? I had 2 goals. One is I wanted to scare the shit out of the audience. Seriously. I thought, the audience, I knew a lot of them, a lot of my good friends and relationships there. They made a lot of money the last 2 years. And I think a lot of them came to this meeting feeling chest puffed out, right? Could show a W-2 or a tax return that was not bad. My job was to tell you the buffet was closed. Sorry, buffet's closed. It's going to be a little bit harder to eat. If you don't change your business and your livelihood, you're going to go broke. And I wanted people to know, if you just started in the market, good for you. If you can get through the next 2 years, you are going to be Superman or Superwoman. If you started 2 years ago, good luck. Good luck, because you came in at the easiest time to flip, and you probably got a big ego. You probably expanded your lifestyle a little bit too much, and you better make some hard decisions right now because the next 2 years are going to be difficult. I told people in the audience that I believe real estate transactions are going to crash 30 to 50%, and they are. You can see it every day. So again, if you're paid on commission, get ready for half the transactions. If you're a flipper and you're playing above the median, good luck.
This is twice as much work to get that deal now, right?
Twice as much work
you got before.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, my job again was to scare the audience. That was rule 1. Rule 2 was to get them super excited. I believe creative finance, seller financing will be the most, this is 1980 and 81 all over again. The Land of Carlton Sheets, Robert Allen, No Money Down. I have these old original books. We're going to do some crazy ass shit these next 2 years. And I'm not just talking straight up seller financing sub 2. I'm talking some wacky stuff. Do you guys know one of the most popular way to get deal done in 81 was the following? And oh, by the way, 1981 might be like 2023. Let me explain. 1981 housing transactions crashed 50%. But sellers sometimes needed to sell. But oh, by the way, interest rates were 18%. So if the seller had a lot of equity and they had other financial assets, they could take a loss. They could take an L and get out. Most people can't take the L. Most people are also stuck to a price. So what they would do is, let's say they had a house in Southern California and it was worth, I'm just going to make up numbers, 500 grand. And they could sell it today to get out of it at 400. But they can't get a short sale. They don't want to do it. They'll just suck it up and stay. What if, and this happened in 81, it's written about in Robert Allen's book. What if we go and get a traditional mortgage, FHA, 3% down at some number, or we take over your payment, whatever it is, you get a first, but then the owner takes that 100K equity as a silent second, meaning no interest, no payments, 10-year balloon. Do you guys know a large, like 10 to 12%, it is estimated, transactions in 81 had a silent second. Most people don't even know what a silent second is. Very few people even know what a second is. A second is just a second mortgage. I'm making a payment. A silent second is it's just debt recorded against it, no payments, just a balloon payment in 10 years.
Just held against it. Love it.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, if you sell the property, you owe me. If you refi the property, you owe me, or you owe me in 10 years, whatever comes first. Because the whole idea is hopefully the market comes back and you give me my money. It is going to be a wild time.
The balloon date, like what, a 10-year balloon? You mean 10 years until that loan is complete?
Yeah. So I buy a house from Alex, and we do this silent second, right? He wants out, he can't, but he's tied to 500, even though it's worth 400, right? So we do it. We get the deal closed. I have a mortgage on it for 400, and he takes back a silent second. I'm going to pay my mortgage on the 400. And then the agreement in this one is it's a silent second with a 10-year balloon date. So he's going to pay, Alex will be paid his 100 grand one of 3 ways. 1, I sell the home. I give up my control of the house. 2, I refi the property. Or 3, 10 years go by. So now it's 32, September 14th, 2032, he gets paid. So that's a balloon payment.
So how do you think current deal makers, people out there pursuing deals, could best use like stuff like this, or what do you recommend when it comes to, just?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 things we have to do, and it really boils down into, and a lot of people call them sellers. I actually strongly suggest you treat them as owners until you know they're sellers, because it's a different mindset. So basically, does the owner have equity or not? That's step 1. Because if they have no equity, there's nothing there, right? That you can't do seller financing.
The deal, there's no meat on the bone if they have nothing to give you, right?
Right. If there's no equity, then the only option is, can we do some kind of sub 2, and you walk through that whole vocabulary, and the loan's going to stay in their name, and all of that. So that's the first step. And then the second step is there some kind of urgency? Because I think what we're going to see, and why winter is going to be so cold for real estate agents, is buyers and sellers don't see eye to eye today. We are going to have to go through this winter where it's very much like Back to the Future, where Marty McFly is in the past and Doc is in the future, right? Buyers are looking at prices tomorrow thinking they're going to come down, and sellers are remembering yesterday and they're just not agreeing. So we've got to get through winter. Winter is going to be terrible. Very few transactions. We're going to figure out where we are in March. Where's unemployment? Where's GDP? Are we in a recession? Where are rates? Are rates at 7 or rates at 4? No idea. I've been studying this stuff every day, and I have no idea what March is going to bring. So again, for me, it's, does the owner have equity or not? Do they want to move or not? So owner has equity but doesn't want to move, stay. What can I tell you, right? Follow up, right? Be nice. Treat him as an owner. If something changes, let me know. If something changes, let me know. Owner wants out. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do you want to do? How do we structure this? Right. So those are the really things. Do they have equity and is there urgency? That's what I'd be fishing for today. And then you worry about the strategy. I see a lot of creative people who learn one new skill and that's all. They try to force fit deals into that skill. What you have to do is just realize there's two questions. Do they have equity or not? Are they urgent or not? And then after that, work with your network, work with your self-will, work with Alex. The experienced people can just whisper sweet nothings in your ear and help you move forward. But unless you know if there's equity, unless you know urgency, it just doesn't matter.
Awesome. Well, I love the feedback. Do we have any other questions?
We've got a couple specific questions, and specific questions are always a little bit tougher to answer. But I do want to talk about something that Alexandra brought up, which is, how can somebody who's looking to get their first rental property? So you said to focus on an area, right? When you see that deal come up, you have some money in the bank, maybe you're ready to take a stab at it. Like, is there any kind of, final advice or final don't advice that you might have for that person if you're looking to build a rental portfolio? Not a flipping portfolio, but strictly rentals.
Yeah, these are just my rules. Take them as you want. Must cash flow day one.
The cash flow is necessary, right? You're not going to get into it if there's no positive cash flow.
No, again, for me, it's all about yield. If you don't have cash flow, it's a negative yield, and I don't buy alligators. Period. I don't care if I'm getting a 100K discount. I'm not buying it. I'm not adding it to my portfolio if it doesn't cash flow. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to have some other asset feed it. It's just not how I roll. Number two, 30-year fixed rate debt only. There's going to be lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of investors that go, Michael, 30 years at 6.5 or 7 or 8%. I can get a 5-year ARM at 5. It doesn't cash flow at 8. It cash flows at 5. Sorry, get a better price. Put more down. For me, it's 30-year money all day long. I want to hold. I spent 6 months, maybe 7 months during the pandemic getting all of my properties, apartments and office buildings included on 30-year fixed rate debt. There are not
just refinancing them to 30-year debt.
Yeah, I wanted out of that. I studied the 70s. I have no idea where interest rates are going to be. I did not want an office building or an apartment to reset
in a 15-year term or a 10-year term. Like, what could happen?
5, right? A lot of these are 5s. I mean, I don't want any of that. Some people don't mind. That was nothing I wanted. I wanted no piece of that.
So even if you might have bought it in a balloon, it was, hey, let me get it out of this balloon as quick as I can and back into something that's more fixed, it's more secure.
We had about, when I say we, it's my wife, Olivia, and I, we had about 40% of our portfolio in commercial properties, which again, typically a commercial loan product is 25-year amortization, 5, 7, or 10-year ARMs. I think most of ours were 5. We go into the pandemic, rates go down sub 3. I see the money printer go, I'm an economist. I know what happens when that happens. I'm like, I'm going to refi everything. I went to non-QM lenders and got 30-year money on my stuff because I'm like, this is going to end badly. I know how the 70s ended, and they're going to have to jack these rates. These were, a year ago when rates were still low. I'm like, this is going to blow up, and it's blowing up now. So I wanted no interest rate risk because who knows? Jerome Powell may have to take the funds rate to 10% to beat this thing. I have no idea, but I have 0 interest rate risk today, and I'm happy for it.
Love that. Great way to, again, and like you said, those are your rules. Great way for you to strategize. If you have different rules, it's not like your rules are wrong or Michael's are the only right ones. Those are just your focus buy box that you're kind of dialed in on. And I love that because that's the first step of investing, right? So
let's just highlight the point that a lot of what investors do is take short-term high interest rates on their deals, and then part of their exit strategy is dependent on, kind of what happens with interest rates in some ways. So if rates jack up, because we saw that on a couple of our deals where we're like, hey, we were planning on burning this thing and keeping it as rental, those numbers didn't really pan out as much anymore. And so we've had to sell them, still profitable, but weren't really able to make the numbers work as a rental anymore. And so, pay close attention. I mean, the lesson I think is a wise one is pay close attention to where rates are at, where you're taking a deal on, and then begin to figure out how you can get to long-term financing as soon as possible, especially in a raising interest rate type of environment.
Yeah,
and especially when the interest rates are low, right? Like you said, Michael, when they're giving you 3%, refi as many things as you can. That's a great rate. Get that locked in. It could go to 10, and you're still at 3. So you're
I have a larger margin of safety. You know, guys, when you have your debt structure like we have, and we did it on purpose, we could lower rents. Believe me, I'm not going to if I don't have to, but I could lower rents a lot lower and be fine. Where
Your
all these
interest
people
rate still isn't high enough that you're making a big enough payment that you're still good either way.
Yeah, I mean, this is wild, right? I was borrowing 30-year money on apartment buildings at, let's call it 4%, when inflation was 9%. That's a negative 5%, folks. We have negative rates in the United States, and it was a crazy time. And again, as an economist, somebody who's studied the markets every day for nearly 30 years, I'm like, I don't know when this ends, but I know it will end, and it's ending right now. So I'm glad we did it. It takes time to, personal financial statements and tax returns. It's a hassle, but I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess a simple question on that is that how do you handle that where you're, constantly up to date on all your, you have, obviously you have probably an amazing CPA and bookkeepers and all that. So what's your system for making sure that you're kind of tracking everything? Because you need to be able to present these. I don't want to overlook that. You need to present your financial situation to banks, to lenders, to get these favorable rates and then get those refinances to the finish line.
Oh, no question. Oh, absolutely no question. So we've been lucky enough to have the same accountant since day one, right? 2002, we buy Norris Drive. So he's been with us. He has now a package he's built for us that shows our evolution from a single unit to nearly 200. So he has the story there. And also my wife deserves full credit, right? While I was around doing my thing, we had pretty good segregation of duties. I found deals and secured capitals. Olivia, my better half, she did the books, checks and balances. So she was always tight, right? She was at worst case a month behind. So we could always give somebody a PFS or whatever. And thankfully, everybody uses the same template, right? There's if you go to your right on my tax return, it's Schedule E. So I have a worksheet that for every property that's Schedule E, and it just goes by month, and then it all summarizes, and it's just magical.
Yeah. I think it's a very important thing that you need to have as an investor, is just your books in order. And we've had recently pay our CPA a lot of money to kind of reorganize some of our books and things like that. So we've learned that lesson too. So I'm glad you're mentioning it, because I think it's a mistake that, oh yeah, we're making money. Well, how much are you making? And where are things going? And what are you gonna do about taxes? And what are you gonna do about
there are investors, and we know them, who are being rather aggressive using the tax code. And at the end of the day, some of them are reporting zero income. Some of them are. Let's just be honest. We don't need to name them, but they are. Yep. Good luck trying to get a loan from a bank when you're reporting zero income.
You need to have some W-2 on there for them to, and the more W-2, the better, the more loans and transactions you're doing. Something's got to be on the books.
Yeah, I'm not saying be stupid.
Yeah.
But again, you got to remember banks got the money. Paying taxes, not always a bad idea, right? It's okay. Pay some taxes, show a tax return. We were able to get as much money as we wanted, as quick as we wanted, because we were showing, a couple of six figures, and we weren't working. So, it works out.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Having a proper presentation for your overall financial situation, and that includes, your tax returns. That includes having, all your books in order.
Yeah.
And profit and loss and everything.
Think about being a bank. Think about being a bank. You walk in there, you show them you did $1 million top line. All of this stuff rolls out and you're negative 50 grand. You think you're going to get a loan? Come on. Yeah, not happening.
So, Michael, I know a couple folks in here in the Q&A, Roshan and Alexandra are asking about house hacking, right? Like, Is that something that you would recommend for somebody who, is maybe looking to get started with investing and maybe wants to get into a duplex? I know you mentioned you were flipping all the way up to, 5-6 unit buildings. Like, is that something you recommend? Alex has mentioned multiple times if he could go back, he would get a small, fourplex as big as he could under an FHA loan and live in one of those units if that's how you had to get started, right?
Yeah. So I will echo what Alex says. So my real estate journey doesn't start till I'm 30. I don't have very many regrets in my life, but the one regret I have is I don't own a fourplex in the Silicon Valley. I could have bought a fourplex in 91 or 92 for nothing. It had to be a house hack. You know what that'd be worth today? How about if I had 2 or 3?
Multiple millions. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So let me be very clear. I believe house hacking needs to be taught in high school. I believe house hacking is the cheat code to wealth. a lot of you follow Dave Ramsey and the, Starbucks thing, stop buying Starbucks. You can't get rich on cutting out $6 coffees. But if you look at your monthly statement, and for most of us, our biggest expense is rent, and your rent can go to zero, maybe it's $300, but it's not $2,000.
Even if your effective rent drops from whatever it was to 300, that's savings.
Your head,
is
all
more
of
than
that
any
is
cup of
savings.
coffee. That's
All
not
of
coffee. That's way more than coffee.
And throw that to the
Can't
bottom
cut
line.
it any other way.
Stack paper, go buy the next one. I actually did a video today kind of reviewing Graham Stephan's How to Be a Millionaire in 10 Years. And the story is, if you just buy a fourplex every 2 years, house hack it every time, you're a millionaire in 10 years by accident. And, oh, by the way, you're financially free. So I think,
And by the way, you own 10 fourplexes now, so you own 40 doors also, right?
Yeah,
Just, if you just by math, right?
Yeah, even if you just had one every 2 years, it's 5. They get 20 units. You're done. I believe everybody can be financially free in 10 years or less. House hacking is a key. I believe a lot of you hear me say that, and you're already saying, I can't house hack. Well, okay. You asked me for my question. I gave you the answer, but you don't like it. That's on you.
I could not agree more, Michael. Man, if I could go back in time, I say this so often, is that I would buy the biggest, nicest fourplex in the San Fernando Valley.
3.5% down. Just sign me
man,
up.
When I was W-2'd income working for the bank, man, I could have bought.
And they just released the new lending policies. I think it even went up even higher this year. You can buy even bigger property now.
What I do want to just highlight real quickly though, is the hard part for people is that they're going to be borrowing more money than they were to buy a house. So they can't wrap their hands around that. And that's part of their hesitation. Like, oh, I was going to borrow 500,000. Now I got to borrow $1 million, But you're buying 4 houses instead of 1.
4 houses and 3 of them are going to pay rent. And in a year you'll move out and you'll have 4 that pay rent. Like there's no quicker way you can do it. Right.
Yeah. So if you, I understand that, right? Signing up for $1 million loan's freaky. I get it. I remember the first time I had to do that. It's kind of interesting. But we got to remember, the bank's going to lend you the money because of the other 3 units.
They're attaching that money to the 3 income producing assets that you're putting on, on paper. Like, hey, these are going to produce rent.
Yeah,
every month.
You could walk
My
to a mortgage.
Isn't just on me.
Yeah, you could walk to a mortgage broker and they're going to say, okay, you're approved for 400. And then you're going to instantly say, well, then how can I buy $1 million fourplex? Because there's 3 units to produce income. And oh, by the way, if you're like Todd Baldwin or Spencer Cornelia, you can even house hack bedrooms in the one you're living in. You want to go super nuts? Rent out the 3, live in the big unit, rent the other 2 bedrooms out, and just freaking, you don't even have to work probably if you're doing that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You'll definitely have a net zero rent.
I showed that on videos, dude, that you could literally be cash positive on your first property as a house hack, if it's a fourplex, depending on the numbers, and have no rent. I mean, you're essentially could be almost financially free with one deal, depending on how low your expenses are.
Yeah. Again, if I had to do this all over again, and this is from a guy that went on to get an undergrad and a graduate degree, I would graduate high school at 18. I was already making $20-some thousand a year selling refrigerators and washer dryers.
And on W-2, so
I could have got a loan.
Good to go with the banks.
Yeah, no, I had decent credit, never missed anything.
Good job history, you're good to go.
I would have bought a fourplex, and then 2 years later another one, and I would have never had to work. It's just nuts. It's just nuts.
And you would have had a couple fourplexes in the middle of Silicon Valley, and
like which would not suck.
That would have just been incredible right now in and of itself. So that's good stuff. And again, like I said, I think there's a lot of people on the call right now that might be looking at that first deal and saying, hey, you know what, maybe that could be me that is able to kind of get that bigger asset, get something bigger that can, really shape my financial future. So house hacking simply said is the cheat code to wealth. I was going to say that's what, Michael said earlier. This is the cheat code, guys. I just am completing my house hack. Alex used to house hack. And you heard it right here. Both of these guys would have done it again and again and again, over and over again. So if you are looking for that, I know a couple of questions came in. Definitely get a book on how to house hack. There's a couple of great ones out there. A couple good ones from Bigger Pockets. I think house hacking is definitely the cheat code and a good way to kind of look at it. So see a couple of people in the chat even saying that they're currently house hacking as well. So good stuff there. Well, Michael, what we typically do now is Alex and I'll maybe ask you one selfish question that we each kind of had, just to kind of pry into, your vast wealth of knowledge. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the rest of the participants here in the last 5 or 10 minutes here or so, just so that everybody can kind of, chat with you a little bit and say thank you for your time and your wisdom that you shared. So
Yeah,
Alex, do you want to
well,
start things off?
Michael, my big question is how can our community, our deal maker community help you? What is it that you need? Doesn't seem like you need very much, obviously financially, but you're always looking to help people. Where can we find you? How can we help you?
Yeah, so you can find me one rental at a time. It shouldn't be easy. I'm on YouTube, website, all of that. I would tell you this: if you happen to live in Fresno, California, or if you know an agent or someone that lives in Fresno, California, one of the things I am doing is one of the ways I'm trying to give back now is I actually bought an office building. It's on Van Ness near Fresno City College. It's basically 7 office units inside this property. And I'm trying to staff it with go-givers. Like I just put in an agent who's going to focus on FHA. I want to put a licensed Fresno agent. He doesn't have to be in the hub the whole time, but I want to talk with this person every Monday on my YouTube channel about house hacking. I want him to go to a fourplex in Clovis, go to a fourplex in the Tower, and let's just show people the power.
Live from the scene, reporting live. Here we are
every Monday at 9
You could
a.m.
have done this. This is still available. You could move in here.
Yeah, and
You
I'm
could change your life with
I'm
this
not even
property.
charging him rent.
Yeah.
I just want to give. I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I have this as a little play money. I want the hub to be something I'm known for, even more than the books and more than the YouTube channel, because it helps that many people. And again, it will help people in Fresno, but the content we create on my channel will go across the world, right? So I want a house hacking agent. And then second, I want a VA. Both of my parents are veterans. I'm here today because they were both served in the military. I want to put a rep in there that's focused on VA, zero down, all of that. So if you happen to know anybody out there that's licensed that wants to be a part of my vision, have them reach out to me. Let's fill it up. Let's go help thousands of people every week. That's the big thing I need help with. So if you know anybody in Fresno, have them reach out.
Awesome. You hear that. We'll throw that out there to our network and see who kind of join the team in your vision. It sounds like an incredible vision. We're huge fans of not only your work, but the strategy you're talking about promoting. And then so let's do what we can to help. Michael, come on, guys, get him somebody.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say you took it out of you answered my question right there too, because mine was gonna be what's next, and it sounds like that's what's kind of next for you is a position where you can kind of give back and help some people and kind of create a legacy, and obviously creating this hub in Fresno where you've done a lot of business and obviously been very successful, is going to put you on the map where people there are now not only going to remember you as the guy that made some wealth there, but also put back and made some other people some wealth and opportunity as well. So great stuff. I see some people in the chat giving us the hands up and letting you know that that's pretty awesome. So I think you're connecting with some folks out there as well. Cool. Great stuff. I'm going to, like I said, go ahead and add in some of the other panelists here and get everybody else on here so that they can kind of share the screen. And if anybody does have any, last minute questions or, just wanted to say thank you to Michael while we have him on here, this is your time. I know Michael mentioned that you guys can find him on Instagram, and I shared his Instagram down there in the chat. And then also, we just wanted to let you guys know again, we are having our meetup here in person in Los Angeles. It's going to be next week on Thursday. So it'll be about 8 days from today, downtown LA. I'm going to put the link in the chat here in just a second, and we will see everybody out there. So in the meantime, we'll open it up for anybody else here in the audience. And guys in the audience, don't feel shy. If you guys got some value out of this, feel free, again, like we said, say thank you. If you guys have any kind of last minute thumbs up you can give, just so that we know you guys got some value out of this. We'd appreciate it, and I'm sure Michael would as well. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, you got about 5 minutes here with a really, really talented group of investors, not just Michael and Alex and myself, but everybody else in here. So feel free to kind of chime in. Otherwise, Alex is going to start putting some of you guys on the spot.
Thank you so much for all the info. My name is Alex. I had a question about what you guys were saying. So I've been looking into getting an FHA loan, and I only qualified for like up to 650. So I'm looking to get a fourplex. So that's mostly like for a duplex in SoCal. How would you guys recommend like partnering with someone, or how would you go about trying to get a fourplex instead of just a duplex? Because I think there's a new I mean, you guys might know more about it, but there's something new passed from 2020, I believe, called like self-sustainability or something like that, where all the rents have to equal out almost all of the mortgage on its own or something like that.
Yeah, what I would,
Are you in California?
Yes.
Contact me. I can help you.
I'm guessing
Okay,
you're a
okay.
mortgage broker, I'm guessing, or agent.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what I would tell you, just generically speaking, is talk to a mortgage broker. That's where I was going to go, and
Hello?
tell them your plan. Because you know, without telling them, they're just going to run your numbers and give you an answer. But I think at least most of the mortgage brokers I work with, you tell them you're trying to get a fourplex, they would try to figure out what's going to rent. They're going to take 75% of rents, and it'll go to it should increase your what you could buy. At least that's been my experience. But again, work with a professional.
You
I think
can
the
do
more you give them information, like Michael's saying, the more you tell them about what you're trying to do, the more they can kind of help you, as opposed to just running your numbers, in a little spreadsheet like they're normally doing. But they can maybe kind of craft something a little bit more specific to help you out.
Yeah, I've been working with two different ones right now, and they're both they both pretty much did the same thing. It's more like a duplex that would fit the numbers.
Well, good stuff. I think that's the best move is definitely get in touch with just that mortgage broker, somebody in the area that can trust, and that's certainly something that Alex and I have done. I know I just closed my loan with my mortgage broker, and he was able to get me some things specifically that helped me out because of the information that I helped him gave him on the front end. So I think that's probably going to be your best bet moving forward, right?
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, guys, we do appreciate all your time. And again, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on here. I know we have a ton of folks that are going to catch this on YouTube later, and they'll be appreciative of your time as well. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the flip side. All right, guys?
Bye.
See you in the
Thank you, Mike.
meetup. See you in the
Oh.
Thank you
meetup.
guys.
Thank you, Michael.
See you guys next
Later.
week. Thank you, Michael.
Bye.
Thank you.